So good evening. Good job. Good evening. All right. First and foremost, thank you all for joining us this evening for the first ever joint Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Board Committee and Community Relations Advisory Committee meeting for November. It will be fruitful, first of many dynamic conversations and work sessions. And to open up tonight, I just want to introduce someone you already know is Liz Carbone.
Well, first, thank you all for letting us come and craft your party. I hope bringing food, lightens the mood after a long work day. But yeah, my name is Liz. I'm the chair of the Community Relations Advisory Committee. And just in the interest of time, maybe we could quickly, anyone who's here with our CRAC could just raise your hands. Linda, too. And then anybody who's here from the EDI committee, you raise your hands. And then anybody else who's just here to contribute, you raise your hand, too. SEPTA. Okay, perfect. SEPTA. Okay. So so thank you for allowing us this time to partner together. We were kind of chatting just in the last few minutes about our goals and our intent for meeting together. And our whole goal has always been, we've had this whole long, wordy mission statement. And as you guys have heard before, we've really distilled it down to this idea that we just want to be a place for people in our community to be heard. And we're certainly not the powers that be, but we are community members who care, and we want to amplify and allow for space for the voices of people in our community that are reaching out, asking for resources, asking for support. And importantly, we want to come alongside groups like SEPTA, groups like the EDI committee, and other groups and other initiatives, come alongside the good work that's already being done, and see how we can support and what resources or ideas or energy we can bring, again, to support really great things that are already in progress in our community. So thanks for having us. I'm really excited to introduce Denise and Sean, who are going to give a wonderful presentation. SEPTA has really just been the guiding kind of force for us as we've been delving into this issue. They're the boots on the ground. They're the people that have the real lived experience and knowledge about this topic, and we've just been so grateful to be able to work alongside you all and support you in what you do. So introducing Sean and Denise.
I'm sorry? Do you, where's Kristen?
Do you have the vision sheet?
Yeah, it's probably in here. Kristen, do you know, where'd she go? Oh, is the vision sheet on here? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can do that, yeah. But I can just speak to it until we send that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, yes. So we wanted to talk today. I really appreciate the invitation to speak tonight, and I really, really appreciate all the collaboration. I think that in order to properly support our community and our schools, the school is really the hub of the community, and so much about a school and how it operates feeds into the culture and how a community runs. And so it's really exciting to be able to work together and see what we can really do together as people who are interested in this work. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our first collaboration, which was held in late August. It was held on August 22nd. And what that was SEPTA, of which stands for Special Education PTA, of which Denise is the fearless leader and president of, and the CRAC committee partnered in order to have a listening session for the community, specifically on the needs of families and students that are served in special education. And we had quite a good bit of attendance. We had about 20 people virtually, and if I remember correctly, I don't have the exact numbers, about 35 in person. Yeah, it felt like a little more in person. And New Hanover County Schools came. Thank you, Ms. Souza, for coming and just being part of that session. I think it was really value added. But what our goal was to understand what our families needed and what they observe and are looking for their supports as they enter a school system, which for special education students can often be very complex to navigate. And for For those of you who might not know, I am a member of the EDI committee. I have been since 2019. I think it's very important to me that we have equity as much as possible and that we act and have systems that support that. And for special education, of course, the special education law that lays the foundation is IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and it guarantees a free and appropriate education for our students. And for special education students, you know, what that looks like can have a very large range. And what I have always said is, and I have an analogy that is fitting, but if you know, when you go for bowling, you aim for the center pins, and then you kind of see how it plays out. But when you aim for instruction and how you educate students, if you aim for the ends, you catch all of the people in the middle, because you're already doing that differentiation. And so what that looks like for AIG might look very different. But if you're doing that differentiation naturally as part of, you know, the system and the structure, then it catches a lot of people who you might not catch otherwise, and it's value added because everybody learns differently. So my mission has been that, you know, 40 years of research conclusively show that inclusion is best for students with disabilities. Probably best for everybody too, right? But you know, specifically this research was students with disabilities based, and that's a really interesting statistic, because you can say, well, sure, because the students, you know, who perform well will be successful in a more inclusive environment. However, that statistic applies with respect to any race, any ethnicity, any socioeconomic status. IQ even. So it's very broad, and it applies because it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So what that means is even test scores get better, sure. Those are very important, of course. But your outcomes in adulthood and in the community are even better. So you get more enrichment, you get more friendships, you get more of the important takeaways that students remember. I mean, everybody remembers their prom, right? Or everybody remembers, like, you know, if they happen to do sports. I was not coordinated enough to do that. But band, I was good at band, so I had my thing, right? But everybody remembers those enrichments. Regardless of how they did, you know, in a class. So it's just as important for students with special education who are served in special education as it is for typical students. So anyways, that's part of the mission. But part of what the mission of the listening session was to see what parents needed. You know, what Sean's vision might be different than what parents need, you know, and I think that it's important to kind of gather that feedback from the families that we serve and from the community. So what we did was first we gathered data, and we got in very similar groups as we're in right now. And I was the lead of the virtual group, which with some very capable IT support, thank you. We managed to bring in the virtual questions. But then we had another five teams throughout, and we were just saying, okay, what are your questions? What are you seeing? What are you concerned about? And just at a high level, you know, everyone's was a little different, but they all had themes. The virtual one, you know, our big takeaways were, you know, one, when a family with a student with disability walks into the school, they want to be treated as a gen ed student first. You know, they want to just walk into a school and feel like that their school is welcoming, not just that they're, you know, shuffled into a classroom at the back of a school and kind of hidden away, right? And what Also, that was one of our major themes. Another one was every child who needs an IEP has an IEP. That can often be challenging at the beginning because not all disabilities are visible. And sometimes it takes some time to identify and figure that out. And that can be a very confusing and traumatic time for families. Another one was all classrooms are co-taught in the same room, and supports are either pushed in or pulled out. And the advantage of that is that not only do you kind of catch the ends of the pins, the bowling pins, but you also are providing teachers more support. Everybody knows that teachers are like so stretched right now, right? It's a challenging environment. And with that support, unsurprisingly comes better test scores. So it is like a win-win. And the only challenge, and I'm not trying to minimize it, but the only challenge becomes like logistics. How do we make that work given, what we're all working with collectively? A theme that I also heard was tight, frequent parent participation. My kid is almost a teenager, so he talks about as much as most teenage boys, probably a little bit less. So if I ask him, what book are you reading, I won't get the same answer that I would get if I asked my 9-year-old, right? And so it's a really easy thing to email the teacher and be like, oh, what book are you reading? But it's also great if you don't have to. If you get like worksheet home or, something that you have some idea of what the student's life looks like. And then you can start conversations you wouldn't be able to start otherwise. Or more importantly, reinforcement and family involvement that we wouldn't be able to participate in otherwise. And then, as I said before, inclusion in like after school type stuff, things that, sports, enrichments, things that are important. One really great positive example is my son was selected as part of safety control to raise the flag some mornings. And he loves it, and it's really cute, and it's something that he really values a lot. Another table, they're kind of visioning and what do we need, what are we worried about? They were worried about what I mentioned on every child that needs one has an IEP, and how that identification can be really clunky and dependent on having the right person at the right time. And so is that process robust, the child find process? And are we quick to evaluate students? Because it can be really challenging and traumatic to not have the supports you need for those students in a timely manner. One big thing that was identified that I don't think is a surprise, just given recent press, was equity with respect to behavior, and making sure that behaviors are treated with the appropriate behavior supports, but in an equitable manner. Our county has sanctions for disproportionality. I know it's not just our county, it's a pervasive problem, but it is a problem, and so we have to figure out, what's our mitigation for that problem, because it affects many families and it affects many students' futures. Staffing and support, that is a pervasive theme all the time, unsurprisingly. And then consistent training, not only for the special education people who literally go to school for this, but if we expect general education teachers to welcome our students, how are we providing them the tools and resources to welcome all students? That can be a challenge because there are, more explicit instructions, more peer supports. There are different strategies you may choose to use for students with disabilities than for regular students. And then one thing I heard, and this was from the families that are more at the beginning of the process rather than people who, have been in the process for a couple years, is like, where do I go? I need help. Who do I go to? How do I get help? And what does it mean for me and my student? Because it's not always clear, like, well, if you pick this program, it's not diploma track, but it's not always clear and it's not always well explained. And that information is really appropriately should be pushed to parents instead of parents to have to pull it because that can help with equity across all families. So it was what I thought a great session, and that's just an example of like some of the data pulled from it. And what I very, very much appreciate what CREC did is they consolidated all the data from, several, I think 6 of the different sub-teams. So we might have 5 or 6 also, but they consolidated that data to be like, okay, what is everybody's vision? How do we connect our students and our children to our community? Because we have a lot of wonderful people that want to do the best we can for our students and have the energy and resources and, vision to do that. And they put together a vision statement that starts with the child, goes out to the classroom, then the school, and then the community, and how those supports are wrapped around each other and what those visions for each of those supports were based on what the listening session said. And the vision said for children that our children will be identified and receive the services that they need and experience high quality, least restrictive environment is part of IDEA, and that means you're included in general education to the maximum extent appropriate. That's what the legal language says. So experience high quality, least restrictive, enriched, and socially inclusive settings throughout the school day and throughout the community. That our children will have the resources they need in our schools and our communities to grow, learn, make friends, and contribute to our community. And then you then wrap that around to, okay, that's a great vision. I want that for every child with or without disabilities. What does that make our classrooms look like? And so the vision of the classrooms was then our classroom will be led by co-teachers and support staff who have the sufficient preparation and resources, very importantly, the sufficient resources to provide this excellence instruction. We don't want to just ask teachers to do more with less. That's done all the time, unfortunately. But if we're asking them to do this very inclusive, visionary thing, how are we going to give the tools in order to do that? Then it says, we'll serve children of all abilities together in socially inclusive and supportive environments. We'll promote positive interactions, social engagement, and social behavior and friendships. Because sometimes friendships just need to be facilitated, especially at the very beginning. Then wrapping that around to schools, and I think that this is a piece of it that it's actually, I don't want to say easy. I don't want to say easy because I know everybody's time is limited, but schools will trust, welcome, and engage parents, and they will educate parents on due process. That's communication, and communication it isn't easy, but it is actionable. It's very actionable, and you can do it at multiple levels. You can do it at the classroom level, you can do it at the principal level, you can do it at the district level. There's a lot of actionable ways that we can help support that gap. And that's super, when I hear where do I go, how do I get help, what does that mean? That's an easy thing to answer. And in fact, I know that the district has been working on that in order to get appropriate, the right information on the website, the right contacts, the right, talk to this person can answer all your questions, etc. And I'll keep going on. Schools can provide adequate training, address and help actionably fix disproportionality, especially in punitive behavior practice. If you're not in school, you cannot learn, right? Limit conflict and bullying. This is safety is a big thing right now, so we want to limit conflict and bullying. And provide supports for both the people that are using their behavior to communicate, and then the people who get caught in that crossfire. And then promote and enhance the positive social interactions and mental health around the students and adults they serve. And then ultimately, all of this, and this is where CREC can help us and already has, but ultimately our community can help this by investing the appropriate resources and focus on public education. The earlier you get kids and engage kids, the more it builds up, right? And so invest it with a focus more on early, and kind of build up those children. And then wraparound supports. I know often you've talked about summer learning, right, Mr. McManus? And how that is an actionable thing that can really move the bar. Promote mental, physical, and social health of all of the community members, and then have the right infrastructure in order to do that. So it was, it's a great vision. And I think it really, what I like about it is it builds up on the things that need to happen at every level in order to realize that vision and make positive improvements on it. And I will say that although my focus and our focus as a special education PTA has been, special education, I will say this is very applicable due to the intersectionalities to be more inclusive for all marginalized students. So it was a great session. Again, I very much appreciate this, not only this opportunity, but the opportunity to connect with our community and then follow up on that. And if I haven't talked long enough, I will then pitch it to Denise, who, yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's wonderful to be in a room with so much positive energy. That, to me personally and to our families, means the most. And we know to our students, being in a room with positive energy is going to make all the difference. And when we let our students and our parents guide us and lead the way, we can't go wrong. And that's why Sean spoke as long as she did, because it's important for you not to hear from me so much because my child is no longer in school, but the parents who are currently actively or trying to be actively engaged with our school system. That's where I gather my data. That's who I gather my data from. I'm a data wonk. Sean and I have that in common. And we do our research, we do our homework, but it's the lived experience that really should drive the decision-making and the action plan. What's so special about CRAC, and thank you, Liz and Kirsten, Linda, Joe, Malcolm, thank you for being part of this, is this is an action-oriented group. It's wonderful to share ideas and find common ground, but that's only the beginning. It's what comes next, and that's what we're here to do tonight. The listening session was amazing. Parents were very open, and there were lots of good things that were shared as well. We want to keep the positives. We want to let the district as a whole know that Hoggard High School, thank you for sending me that. I knew that they had started the unified program, but to receive 2 awards, one of them now being the ESPN award, that's something that we're all working for. And if they can do it at Hoggard, we can do it at every school. So Hoggard has lots to share with our school district. And one of the questions from our first listening session was, how do we get the information out? What's the best way to do that? There are lots of good answers to that. This definitely is a start, but it has to go far beyond this room. So I think we're in a good place. I'm hopeful. Our parents are hopeful. There's still lots of challenges. Sean mentioned the sanction, the disproportionality. Yes, absolutely, it is hurting our kids because that money is being diverted from programs and resources that all the children in the special ed program need in order to remediate the inequitable practices. Equity means only one thing. It means every student gets what they need. That's all it means. It's very, very simple. And our job is to figure out how we do that. And because IDEA was written for the individual child, not the group, the individual child, that's what an IEP is, we can find a path for all our kids. It's when we're determined to do it, we'll find the way. It's hearts and minds working together with the purpose in mind, and then being determined and steadfast, and there will be setbacks, but that's all part of the journey. It's been my life's journey. My life just because I'm not going to make this about me at all, but just to share with you, my career in education exactly corresponds with IDEA. I started the year before IDEA was enacted, and I have been part of the disability rights movement and so excited that I can still be involved, that maybe I still have something positive to offer, and that we have come so far. We can't forget that. We have come so far. I remember, and some of you might be as old as I am, and remember when kids with disabilities were not allowed in school. Nope, not happening, not coming in the side door, the front door, the back door. Along with our black children, the disability rights movement and the civil rights movement are in tandem. We, the disability rights movement, built off the successes and what we learned from the civil rights movement. Civil rights movement gave us equality, and then the disability rights movement talked about equity, because they're both necessary. They're both necessary. We can give every child the same bright, shiny new textbook, but some of our kids won't be able to access it. That's where equity comes in. Equality gives high-quality resources to all our students, but equity helps the child with dyslexia, or the child with low vision, or the child with a learning disability access that material and have the same potential as every other child. It's good for our kids, it's good for our families, it's also good for our community. So I want to thank all of you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you, and I'm excited to see what's going to come from tonight's session. Thank you so much.
At this time, we're going to, break out into small groups, and the prompts are on the screen. So we look forward to the feedback and the work generated out of this. Thank you.
So a brief moment before everyone breaks out into their groups and gets started. I do want to take a brief second to read out the prompts for our community members that may be listening in and may not be able to visually see the slide. So just a brief moment. So our constructive conversation prompts read as follow. Individually reflect on what stood out to you from the presentation by Denise and Sean. Share with your small group. Prompt number two. Discuss what could be done to improve inclusion, equity, and quality of life for students participating in special education and related services in New Hanover County schools. How are your suggestions related to inclusion, equity, and quality of life for all students in New Hanover County schools? Third prompt, as a small group, identify 3 actions you recommend New Hanover County schools and or its partners takes to promote inclusion, equity, and quality of life. Write your 3 actions on the poster paper and prepare to share out to the large group. Thank you all.
Folks, take about 5 more minutes to make sure you have your 3 suggested action items on your paper. 5 more minutes for your 3 suggested action items. Thank you. Okay, friends. It's exciting to see how active and engaged everyone has been. It's exciting to walk around and listen to the good ideas. But it's time now to come back to the large group. What do we like to do here to remind people that it's time to come back to the large group? Yeah. That's good. That's right. If you can hear my voice, clap once. That's right. If you're ready to share out, clap twice. All right. No, we're not quite ready yet. It's okay, folks. It's okay. These are works in progress. These are works that will evolve over time. And so we're going to move on to 2 final activities. And the final activities go like this. 1, a member of each group will come and share out. When you come up to the microphone, introduce yourself to the group, because we didn't get a chance to all get to know each other, did we? So hi, my name is Kirsten Kynes. I'm a member of EDI and CRAC. Nice to see you tonight. Something like that. And then share your 3 points. When you're done sharing, go ahead and stick your paper down on the table where your group sat. Because after all 1, 2, 3, 4 groups have shared, we're going to do a prioritization activity. Every idea on the paper is worthy and indicative of your brilliance, all right? So we're not deciding which are worthy ideas, which are brilliant ideas, who's the smartest group. What we're going to do, and you'll have more instructions up on a slide soon, is simply use your blue and green stickers, and I'll give you more instruction to indicate which of the ideas you think is ready for action and which of the ideas requires more study for it to become an action in the school district or its partners. And just a little mention. I think it's so important, and Denise and Sean, you did a fabulous job using all the words that convey the cultures of this meeting. We're not here to shame anybody. We're not here to blame anybody. We're just here to make sure that our children have what they need to thrive. And so in that spirit, when we prioritize things, we're not saying, and we expect the school district to do this next week. What we're saying is, we think this is actionable. We're a group of new Hanover County community members who believes that this is actionable. We're happy to talk more about how to turn this idea into action, all right? So folks, what I'm first going to do is ask, and I see Mr. Johnson speaking. Mr. Johnson, would you like to come and report out for group number 1? All right, let's give it up for group number 1.
I appreciate you being here, brother.
All right. Okay. My name's Dorian Camardi. I'm a member of SEPTA and the committee. And I'm in group 1 with Barbara Anderson and, well, Joe went somewhere. Oh, Joe, Malcolm, and Susan. And one of our things that we came up with is we need more staff for staff, meaning we need more TAs, because as we all know, some teachers or TAs are in the classroom all day, they don't have bathroom breaks, and of course there are students in the system who would need additional help in the classrooms, and the teacher can't focus on 23 kids at one time. The other thing that we said that we needed is interpreters for all languages across the district. That's something that we feel like that is very easy and achievable, given that a lot of our students are, English is not their first language, and they are sometimes sitting in the classroom all day sometimes all year without enough hours of service to learn the language that they need to learn to thrive in here in America. And 3 is Blue Ribbon Task Force to see if funds are directly impacting students in the classroom. Uh, it used to be a big thing here back in the day, but it would be something that we think that could be a priority to make sure our students are getting the funds they need directly. And that's it. Oh, number 2 is interpreters. Interpreters. Yeah, interpreters. Any questions? No? Oh.
As a board member, we've heard all this consistently in the task force meetings, here, in a lot of different town halls. We heard some of this, so very good. That is very consistent. Support for staff is humongous, and actually, we have that, hopefully the work session coming up in the next few weeks, look out for that, but we really want to talk about that. That stuck out to us at the town hall and all the task
One
force.
constancy we continue to hear and heard at every table.
We also heard that we have a lot of English language learners, and they're coming to us consistently, constantly. I don't know if we talked about that last time, but the staff are telling us that, and we need more support for those students especially. What was the other point? 'Cause I think
The Blue Ribbon Task Force. Okay. I would like to explain that. I'm Barbara Anderson. I'm retired from the New Hanover County Schools. I was in the schools for 21 years as a media specialist and a teacher assistant. I started that way and then became, and so I'm not even part of this, but this is a passion for me. I retired from Rachel Freeman School of Engineering as a media specialist. And we all know, those of us in the classroom, that things, sometimes we feel like the people up in central office are making work for us down in the classroom. And that's what I mean by this. Is the money that's going to salaries in the central office and the work that they're doing, is that really directly impacting the students, or is that creating more work for teachers in the classroom? And you know it is. The other thing is, how many of you have children that get information in August, but they don't have an interpreter there to interpret for the parent because they're a 10-month employee instead of a 12-month employee? And it's just wreaks havoc. This year, people didn't get buses for 2 weeks. And a lot of that was because of misinterpretation. And the other one is staff for staff. I know of teachers, because I work with teachers, I'm a retired teacher advocate. We have kindergarten teachers that never see their TA all day. That's the most important grade level and the foundation for that student's success for their entire education career. And yet we don't put TAs there. Why? Because they don't have money. Why are teacher librarians being shared between schools? Oh, we don't have money.
And the big thing about, another big thing about TAs is that if there are more TAs in the classroom, it would allow the teacher to build a relationship, a proper relationship with the parents, and then the parents will feel more inclined to be in the classroom instead of the first phone call home being about discipline. So, TAs are a big part of what the school needs. Thank you.
I'll say what ties to that as well is teachers are telling us that they're doing 4 or 5 different jobs, even though they were educated on being teachers. They've got to deal with behavioral and mental health, a lot of other hats they have to wear, and it's very stressful for them. And I know there's teachers in this room, they're welcome to speak up. If they don't want to, that's okay. But that's what we're hearing as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cherry Cook. I'm a member of the CRAC, and I am in group 3 with those beautiful ladies. So we have, look, I don't even have anyone to hold my paper. Oh, thank you. Group, come on now. So we have 3 actions. So the first one is parent resource centers placed throughout the, I guess, the district, how the county is divided, so that way they'll have the resources they need that they may not be able to get from the teachers because they're overwhelmed and overworked. and all of the above. The second one is digital access and digital literacy support, to where they may have, access to laptops and internet, as well as printed materials. Because I know that was one thing that Ms. Denise and Ms. Lamb were talking about when they introduced for our session today. And the third one is more collaborations with listening sessions with not only the parents, but the students, the teachers, the district, so that everybody can, and the community, because that's all what's going to take for us to thrive and survive. Okay. All right. Did I miss anything, guys?
So I do
Good?
want.
Okay. Go ahead.
So as you were listening, I do want to just kind of raise, and just the opportunity, because there are some things that we may raise that may already exist in Hanover County Schools. So I just want to take the opportunity to plug. Correct me if I'm wrong. The parent of what Student Support Services has their their quarterly parent sessions. The name is escaping me right now. Parent.
They go to Parent Resource Center, which is down in Spencer.
At Spencer.
But Lisa Brenner heads that up. I'm not sure how often
Okay.
that is, but we can get some information out.
And we just launched that this year.
Yeah.
So we already have that in the works. And it was just a tool just to do exactly what you were mentioning, just putting the resources directly into the community members.
We
And
started out with at the beginning of the year, we had a bunch of enrollment, just how to teach how to work with parents to get their students enrolled. And we had our bilingual specialist. I was there for special education, so we had people at different schools to help just with, just the scribbles and some of the basic things. Those are some things we're trying to fix.
I will get the name and I will say it out loud so we can make sure we have that information.
I think it's Parents Academy.
Yes.
But is that, what part of is that, where's Spencer?
So right
I'm,
here.
and I'm from Wilmington and don't
Right here.
even know where Spencer
Dale
is.
K. Spencer Building's right here.
Okay, but is that the only, right now, the only access for parental resources? Parent,
So as of right now, we're just
Yeah.
starting, but that's something we have to branch out
Yes.
and can continue. So
Yeah, and so I'm not in charge of it, but I've been helping. Lisa Brenner's our director of student support services. So I'm Joanna Souza. I'm special education related services director. So with support services, but they launched the Parent Academy, so it is a place for parents to come and have some classes and some different sessions. But they're going to be putting more sessions into place, and it might be at the Parent Academy, but also a lot of them are being done at the school level at different places in the community so that parents have easier access to some of those locations. So I'm not sure what they've got this year planned out, but certainly I can have Lisa send that to the committees as a next step.
On the website.
That's what I was gonna say, their website.
It's already live.
Okay, group number 4.
Just in case y'all want to talk into the mic. Just gonna
Introduce yourself too.
Okay, we're group number 4. My name is Stephanie Metcalf, and I'm assistant head of school for academics at Cape Fear Academy. And do you want to introduce yourself?
I am Lynn Espinosa. I work with New Hanover County, and I am representing the EDI committee.
And I'm on CRAC, sorry. One thing that we talked a lot about is that our system now is set up that even if a teacher can identify a kid who needs extra help, we have to wait till they fail so many times before we get them the help that they need, and that's just not even common sense. So providing us a chance to help kids before we had to put them into special ed if we just need extra support. Educate parents that this is not a zero-sum game, so every kid should get what they need. It shouldn't be that the people who have the most resources, their kids get the most, and the people who don't have resources don't get anything. It should be shared equally for whatever each child needs. And then definitely we said to more bodies in the school, because we know, research tells us, we know that relationships are everything. And if our teachers are so overworked that they can't build relationships with the families, with the kids, then we can't change behavior and we can't educate kids. Anything else?
All right, this is terrific. Any questions? Ms. Walker has a microphone if you have a comment or a question to follow up on that.
Thank you so much. So we wanted to just clarify our concept of parent center, and we love what the district is doing, so we're not looking to supplant it, but to augment it. Our concept was that the parent centers are run by parents, and that they're located throughout the school district, perhaps in school buildings that might have some space, because although we're over or at capacity at some of our schools, others, we do have empty classrooms. And a lot of it would be volunteer, but we'd have things that would support our parents in terms of printer, ink, paper, resources, digital as well as hard copy, books. For instance, there would be a section for our parents and families who have students with disabilities, but there might also be resources for our parents who are English as a second language and translatable materials. I've seen it done. I was part of it in another school district. They're wildly successful because we're giving the parents ownership, and it's a great way to get parents who maybe are needing to feel more trusting in the school system into the door in a very non-threatening way, because that's their space. And often there are toys and games, educational materials. It could be a lending library type of thing. So it's love Parent Academy, and we want to see that expanded for sure. But this is a very different concept, and I think there's definitely room for both. So I hope that explains what, hard to write that all down on a piece of paper, but thank you.
Anybody else?
All right, so group number 2. Group number 5. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was about to start us over here.
Hello. Good work, good work. Me and Sam are from CRAC. So, our group came up with accessibility. It seems like we're just consolidating and we're the last. It's amazing how that worked out. Accessibility, have conversation with someone before making decisions that affect them. Parents, families need to understand in order to participate. So there's a breach somewhere out in education world, but there's a break somewhere, and some synergy needs to occur here. Pushing information out. Who's the liaison? Who do I go to? Okay, I like that CRAC was kind of working on this. We're going to do better with our website with creating links so that the community knows where they can get access to information when we do our projects, because that's extremely important. So it's like a building block. And so one was video informational videos. How do you do an IEP? And the next, and the conclusion piece would be, how do you go on to college? Because it's not, some of them do that, and they still need an IEP, or they still need proof that they have special education needs. And so let's prepare them before they even get there. Okay, individuality, it's a big deal. And I know we want to say it's not, but we're all different in this room. And so we welcome differences. And so when I'm meeting with you, you're speaking to me. And it's not cookie cutter. And so what works for me may not work for you. And so we can't just go across the board saying, hey, this is what we do when this kid does that, or this is what happens when that does that. That is disrespectful, and we don't think about it on a level of disrespect, but I don't want you to treat me that way. Hello, how are you? I'm Sabrina. I'm an exceptional child, and this is what exceptional children can look like. Okay? I am diagnosed with dyslexia. And I just figured I'd let you know that. So when I came to CRAC, I didn't know we were going into this space, but I serve in this space at GLOW, in the exceptional children, as a substitute teacher. I specifically go there for that purpose. and my children, because I'm an exceptional child, the chances of your children being an exceptional child is true. So I've been advocating for many years for exceptional children, but then there are normal children who live in households with exceptional children who might not be doing so good the next day. So these are the type of things we don't talk about. And so that's our list. I think all of us said some of this to some level or another, but we have too many loose ends, and I just think we could do better, because we're all different and we're special.
First off, thank you guys for everything you all offered up. Before we close out, because we'll have a closing activity, I just want to briefly touch on something that was lifted up earlier. I think maybe before we got into the small groups, where it was stated that our goal is for our schools to be as welcoming to all of our students. And one thing I can share with you all, a lot of the conversation we've been having at the district level is, what does customer support look like, and providing that direct customer support. And just, in this role, there's different, with every new program, every new initiative, there's another layer of inequity that's created. So just when that was lifted up, that was just something in my blind spot that I didn't even think about. How our parents who have students with just, with exceptional, who have exceptional students, how are we embracing them? Is it just we are judging them as soon as they walk in the door and say, oh, we're going to go get such and such, just wait right here? Or are we welcoming and embracing them? Because one thing I did notice when I was at, what could have been Rolling Rice, where the parent just randomly walked in, and then the office manager started just sharing about different programs, sharing about how your student can get involved, and just naturally did that, not even knowing what that individual needed. So I think just that level of intentionality was just really awesome. I'm glad you lifted out up here, so I can then go out and lift it as we talk about what that community support looks like to our community. So sorry for that segue. But in closing, so this is where you start to pack up your bags just silently. We're gonna do a silent, just a little gallery walk as we kind of walk through, and I want you all just to put a green sticker on suggested actions that you believe could and should be implemented right away. Meaning we have the need, we have the resources, and we have the capacity.
Okay. And we also, we want you to put a blue sticker on the items that, as we've all said, we feel that everything that we've suggested today is important and a task that we should continue to explore, but maybe some things that we need to do a little bit more research on deserve the blue sticker. And lastly, I just want to say thank you to you all again. I think this has had a huge impact already, and just everyone coming together and to use Denise's word, an action-oriented way. But I also just want to give a really special thanks to Kirsten Kynes for being the heart and the brain behind this whole endeavor. It's just been such a tremendous effort from her and from so many people in this room, but a special thank you to Kirsten. And, the last thing I'd like to say is that, for so many people with kids of all kinds, life is hard enough right now. Life is hard enough, and when you're spending all day trying to figure out how you're going to pay your next month's rent, or how you're going to feed your child that day, or whether you're going to have a job next week, right? We just don't need to make life any harder. If anything, we should all be here to try to make those folks' lives just a little bit easier by having readily available access to the resources that they need. So again, I hope that this is the start of a conversation and not the final point. I think you can expect some follow-up information from the CRAC and from Kirsten. But please communicate with us after this if there's something that you think about on your drive home, or tomorrow when you're sitting at your desk thinking about that amazing meeting you had the night before. Then you reach out and share with us, because we want to stay in contact as much as we can. So thank you all again for your time, especially in the evening. It's just so appreciated, and thanks for the opportunity to join and come alongside really great work that's already being done. So thanks.
So do I have a motion to close out the EDI committee meeting? So thank you all. Do not forget your sticker activity on your way out. You can leave your posters. And thank you all. And we'll be communication with you all about our next conversation.
I want to remind everybody in this room that our strategic plan includes equity, diversity, and inclusion. I think there are many, many steps that we can work on, but we need to be intentional, and we really need to figure out this budget. So I just want to close with that. Thank you for everybody for coming.